In the world of gaming, the players mainly have two separate but equally desirable experiences. One is through computational devices, taking input through buttons, joysticks, and mice, and is displayed on a screen. The other is on paper and cardboard, with dice, plastic pieces, and pencils on a table. We represent both. I'm Not Much 23.
And I'm ChoasAssassin.
And this is Gamer Experience.
So, believe today's episode you said was going to be about user interface and more so how games just end up.
How people interact with games.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It just was going through my head backwards. How games interact with people. That would be an interesting concept. So, how did D&D hurt you? Well, the DM made me do all this crazy stuff. Like what? He made me roll dice. It's just that's actually a good question. Like, I get that we play games, but I guess that also goes into it's like not only how do we interact with the games, how do the people we play with those games interact with us, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's a good question. It's just like one of those things that's like, okay, how does this interact? How does that interact? For me, most part, when I'm interacting with games, I'm interacting for fun. I have to have fun when I'm playing games.
all right, hit the brakes. We're probably going to have a lot of new listeners this episode. So let's just briefly talk about maybe a bit about who we are and what this podcast is about.
We're actually going to have new listeners?
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
Do tell.
There's a new gaming store that opened up right near where I lived or live.
I hope you didn't live there. That would mean you're either no longer living there or dead. I'm hoping you're not doing this podcast from beyond the grave.
No.
Because everybody knows I am not intelligent enough to sit there and make an AI version of you to help me keep this broadcast alive because you're the brains behind this.
Totally do. But yeah, their hard opening was free RPG Day. I was running the Great Toy Heist because Starfinder was previewing second edition. Their entry was just a bunch of monsters. But yes, I did learn Pathfinder second edition just for that. And in the process, I was able to hand out quite a few of my cards.
Oh, wow. Let's see if any of them will actually listen to us.
So yes,
it'd be nice.
If you're new here, like I said before, this is Gamer Experience. We focus mainly on the gaming experience, usually through ours and those of our guests.
Oh yeah, we have lots of those.
Yeah.
Let's see, we've had several friends of ours, a couple of people we've reached out to. We even one of them, I believe we had on last episode, reached out to us.
Yeah, Amethyst Dragon.
Yeah, which threw us for a loop because, like, holy crap, somebody's actually messaging us to be on.
Yeah,
we're making it big.
Yeah, we actually had a guest that lives in Beijing. Of course, he's fluent in English, but coordinating that one was not easy.
Yeah, that one was a tricky one.
Yeah, but we got it done.
Speaking of which, we need to get them back on if possible.
Yeah, I agree, but we mainly talk about the gaming experience mostly through ours, and, well, we want your input. You can email us at gamersperience@gmail.com, all lowercase. That's GAMERSPERIENCE@gmail.com. You can also find us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Gamersperience. And we also have a Discord, which should be a permanent invite link on our pinned post. It's not a tweet anymore. But sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So now we have to talk about the hard parts. How do games interact with us?
I thought it was how we interact with gamings.
I lost track already. Humans and video games and the interactions between the two.
Yeah,
there we go. That's better. So lost my train of thought, but okay. How do games interact with you, or vice versa?
Well, I mainly interact with games anymore with a keyboard and mouse.
That's fair.
Used to use a controller, but those are two very different experiences that are better at certain things.
Agreed. And considering the fact that I do controller, mouse and keyboard, cardboard, and clicky clacky math rocks with paper and pencil, um, honestly, if I'm doing like a long day of gaming, I prefer mouse and keyboard with certain games, partially because there's a lot of the games that you can do via PC that you can just mod better than you can on console. But if I'm only going to do like an hour or two, I prefer being on my console. There are certain games I've realized that for me, I play better via controller than I do mouse and keyboard. For instance, Cyberpunk 2077. I have that for PC and console. I prefer playing it on console, just more so because it's for me it feels better as far as not trying to remember all of the different keys I got to hit to do things, and it makes it more fluid for me. Whereas if I'm playing something like Skyrim, I could go either way because I've learned Skyrim that well. Same thing with Fallout. There are some games that I play. Most of the games I play on PC are for the fact that I can mod, but I can also plug in a controller to some of those. So that makes some of them easier. I do play things like League. So it's one of those things that when it comes to video gaming, I can go either way. I really can. It's not hard for me to go back and forth. I originally started my gaming thing on handhelds, and then I moved to clicky clacky math rocks, and then for a while I did a lot of PC gaming. It wasn't until later that I actually did more console gaming because I started with like Game Boy Advance.
I think that a controller is much better for like faster, more continuous action because you don't have as many inputs, and a lot of those games you don't need as many inputs, and having more inputs is probably an impediment.
So what's your definition of faster continuous?
It's like you're always doing something that requires like higher reaction times, like first person shooters,
Our
racing games.
first person shooters for controllers need a thing called aim assist just to keep up with the micro things that you could do with the mouse. It's one of the biggest arguments with first person shooters between console and PC. PC you can do a complete 180 a lot faster in on mouse and keyboard than you can in with a controller.
And that's
So
one.
because of that, it's I think I love cross platform. I do, but I've played against someone that when me and them are both on controller, we're about on par. If either of us are on PC with the game, whoever's on PC is better because it's better reaction. I don't know why.
And that's one of the things where a mouse shines. It gives you more precise XY control,
Hmm.
which makes it a lot better for technical games like city builders or simulators, some simulators.
I'll admit simulators on a controller is horrendous. I had
Yes.
a free trial of City Skylines because I tried it because you like that game,
Yeah.
and it was horrendous trying to play it on the controller.
I
I did not like it.
We actually had SimCity 2000 for the PlayStation 1, and we didn't have the PlayStation mouse.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I get pretty much what you're talking about. Although that uses SimCity 2000 uses a grid.
But that's just the video games.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about like all my gaming experience, I'd say my favorite tabletop.
Oh, I don't blame you because not only are you interacting with the game, you're interacting with the other people playing the game.
And there for a while, up until I ended up getting a job and having to be out and actually socialize more. The only time I came outside to socialize was to play Pathfinder.
Yeah. And the main way that players interact with that game is with dice, and most importantly, the game master.
Hmm.
There is somebody running the game.
Yeah, which I enjoy. I enjoy all the forms of gaming that I do. It's why I'm a gamer. I don't just focus on, video gaming. No, I do tabletop. I actually was wondering if you wanted to come over and maybe do some board games at some point again, because I enjoy it's a fun way that people can interact and not just be sitting there on their phones, because that's something I don't like in today's age. Granted, there's a lot of games that you can now do with people on your phone now, because that makes sense.
Well, I have to get the upstream oxygen sensors replaced in my car first, but yeah, I miss board gaming.
Um, if I'm trying to do some gaming on the go, though, handhelds are pretty good. I prefer handheld over mobile. Although I'd have to say the cardboard crack that I play is well, it's getting a little harder to transport all of my decks now. I am up to, I think it's 22 different Magic decks.
Damn, you've been hitting that cardboard crack pipe pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. However, the next set that's coming out is the Assassin's Creed set, and after that, I am not buying packs until probably the next year because nothing else really seems good. So, and part of the reason I'm buying the Assassin's Creed stuff
Is be-
is
You love Assassin's
um,
Creed so much.
yes and no. So I had a friend of mine. We always called him AA Ron. The entire reason I am into Assassin's Creed and Magic is because of him. And sadly, several years ago, he took his own life.
Oh,
So I am building a deck to commemorate him. It's gonna be literally an assassin's deck. I have one built. I have an assassin's built, but it doesn't feel right. And then when I heard that the Assassin's Creed stuff was coming out, I was like, okay, that's what I'm building the assassins around. He got me into Assassin's Creed. He showed me Black Flag. He bought me my first Assassin's Creed game, which, funny enough, was Assassin's Creed Black Flag for the Wii U.
yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yeah, a Nintendo player, and that's what he got me. He got me Black Flag. We went to the local GameStop. He was like, "Dude, I'm gonna buy you a game," because it was like $20 because nobody was buying it for the Wii U. And so he bought me Black Flag. It's like, I've never played that. It's like, dude, you get to kill people and you're a pirate. It's cool. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And I loved Assassin's Creed after that. I own most of them now. Last one I was playing was Origins, but I've been playing so many other things that I just haven't had time to sit down and play them. I think the only one I don't own right now is Mirage, but the next one I'm going to be getting is actually going to be the Shadows because that looks so cool.
But the more important part, especially with what we cover, how does the way we interact with games shape the experience? I mean, with
I'm going to
tabletop,
need you to elaborate a little bit more with that question.
I guess it's more of a question of like user interface with video games, but does a certain control scheme or way of actually like playing a game affect how you play? Or
Um,
because I know a bad interface can completely fucking ruin the experience.
so for me, the more creativity I have, the more I'll enjoy it. For instance, I originally started playing D&D 3.5 edition, and I loved it. I had a lot of customization I can do. I've tried 5, and I'm not as huge of a fan. It's my issue with Pathfinder 2nd edition is they've made it more streamlined, but they don't add as much versatility. But part of that is for making power builds, but you can play the game and be whatever you want, and not necessarily have to have a power built character, but it doesn't seem like I can customize that much. And that's one of my issues with the newer editions of both Pathfinder and 5th edition D&D. Although apparently there's a new D&D edition that's going to be coming out, 1 D&D or something like that.
Yeah, but at this point, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast are dead to me.
Yeah, they keep making stuff with magic, so they keep stealing my money. That is a big part. of for me is I I don't necessarily go the same route everybody else does. I enjoy doing things my own way. That really shines in how I play Magic. I'll take a card and I'll just build a deck kind of around it without necessarily doing what everybody else does for some of my decks. But it's heavily, if I can do what I want as far as customization, I have fun with it. Even if it's just this niche little thing, I end up I can have fun with that. Best example I have a deck that the because I play commander, the commander's effect basically is a lot of more lot of low drop creatures to draw into my big stompy creatures and go that way. I have it built as a counter deck. I literally sit there and just make counters, and that's my win con. That's all I do. I call it a mana flood because I have so many ways of making mana. It's not funny, but at the same time, it's niche, and my it's a gimmick.
But you like to be able to use gimmicks like that and
Yeah,
customize things.
yeah.
I think
That's big for me.
I think that puts you in the minority because I
What,
think a
for
lot of
running gimmicks?
no, just the amount of options, large amount of options and large amount of customization. Because a lot of people don't want to put that much effort. I think that's why D&D 5th edition is so damn popular. Because people don't have to really think about much.
Yeah. Like in in Pathfinder, first edition, I can make a character that's really good at a few skills. For instance, look at any of our past videos, character stories. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this character every episode we've done a character story, which is actually depressing. Toto. I made him really good at perception, broke him, power built him, but he can also do so many other things. It's not funny. But in the newer systems, they make you branch out so widely that it's not it's not as flexible of how you build out. But they did it so you can't, make a character that at level 1 has a plus 19 to their perception check.
And I don't think everybody wants to go through all the rules and all the options to see what they can do. Because
Power builders do.
analysis paralysis is also a thing.
Fair.
But people love 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
It's because it's quick and easy.
And that's what
Literally, it doesn't take long to build a character.
and that's probably why Paizo went the way they did with Pathfinder 2nd edition.
Not knowing how to build a character in 5th edition, I built a 5th edition character faster than I could build a Pathfinder 1st edition character. And considering the fact that I've been playing Pathfinder 1st edition for almost a decade now. Actually, I think it might be over a decade. I'd have to look at my first character. Considering the fact that I can get just about any character done, level 1 character done in 5 minutes, 10 tops. And that the only reason it takes me longer is there's too many spells to choose from for a spellcaster. But I've gotten it down to, fighter and barbarian. Great. I build that in my head. I don't even have to write it down. Just give me the stats and I know everything about it.
But a main point of interaction with any tabletop role-playing game is the person running it.
Mm-hmm. I'm running a game and I've got 2 people that they're power gamers. They want to make broken characters, and I'm letting them. But I told them the more broken you make your character, the more broken I'm gonna throw at you. And one of them's like, bring on the challenge. I love the challenge. Like, you don't want me to go all out. And he's like, why? Summoner. Oh, okay, maybe I won't make it that broken then. Literally, the fact that I say one class and he's like, oh. And what's funny is summoners aren't even my specialty. Rogues are. You've seen what I can do to a rogue.
Yeah, I have.
So it's one of those things that and I know how to mess with most builds. It's called save or suck spells. And people rip on spellcasters like, oh, they're weak. They're weak. It's like, no, they're not. I couldn't make a spellcaster that would fuck a party.
They're not
Like,
they're not weak.
but
You just don't know how to play them, right?
yeah, everybody rips on certain classes like they're so weak, and like every class has its powers its strengths and its weaknesses. Probably some of the most versatile for the classes are things like the druid, the summoner, magus, to an extent, magus at least. Their ability score split is too drastic. Characters that you can build them in different directions. It's harder to do with certain classes like the barbarian. All right, let's not make a barbarian. It's doable. I knew somebody that they turned and basically turned their barbarian more into a druid than an actual barbarian.
Of course.
And that's just part of the game.
But of course, dice are also part of the game.
Yeah, you have shitty dice luck. You need like a 3 or higher on the dice. What do you roll? A 2.
But that randomness
Mhm.
affects the experience in a way that you can't necessarily control.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, last time I can remember I played Starfinder Society, I have a character that should be fairly competent and able to hit a creature that's right next to it pretty easily, yet the dice say no.
You have the kind of dice luck that would make my character, which was designed to never miss his shot, which, by the way, he very rarely misses. You would miss his shots consistently.
But only in combat. With
Yeah.
skill checks,
You blow those things out of the water.
Yeah.
Like you in itself are when it comes to skills, you are like a bard or investigator. You can literally just do any of the checks. Like easily. Combat, yeah, no, I don't do that.
Yeah, like I described last
There's
time.
nothing wrong with that.
All the skill checks I was rolling, especially for like acrobatics, had Bud like doing like triple backflips with double rotations over a bunch of spiky tumbleweeds. But in combat, he could put his pistol right next to the creature and not provoke an attack of opportunity, because that's one of his operative exploits. Now, pull the trigger, and somehow the projectile would leave through the like the no space between the muzzle and the person, just make its own space, go up and over, and then directly out. Supposed to go.
Your dice luck, if you were rolling dice luck, you'd be playing a game of Russian roulette. You'd fire that bullet, but for some reason, it would go backwards. It wouldn't go out the barrel. It'd go behind it'd go out the magazine section. You'd get an old classic revolver, you go to pull it, and it backfires and literally goes out and hits somebody else somehow. Because that's the kind of dice luck you have. If you turned your dice luck into things. Granted, you want to sit there and juggle 17 different revolvers? Oh, you could do that with your eyes shut while balancing on a tripwire over a fucking canyon. Like, you could do that no problem. The moment you need to, actually do something in combat or anything like that, nope. I have never seen somebody with that level of dice luck.
But
it normally balances out, but for you, it's not, which I find hilarious.
But that's the way it shapes my experience. I don't like being in combat because of my dice fortune in combat. I like skill challenges because of my dice fortune and skill challenges. But I cannot control that.
Nope. My dice luck is interesting. As a player, it can go either way. As a GM, though...
Your dice are bloodthirsty.
I don't know why. I have had it, and people have sat there and watched me because I've been accused of using loaded dice. I have rolled... It was a monk's flurry of blows. They had 3 hits. And I rolled a 19, a 20, and a 20. And to roll back up, because it was a higher level and he had improved critical on his fists. So all 3 were threats. I backed them all up. The damage output, I think I would have hit harder if I didn't crit. I rolled 1s and 2s.
Wow.
But I've also sat there and taken the party will just absolutely run over. Nope. Party's dice say, nah, we're just gonna fail every single chat. And like, it's just one of those things that the easiest counter of like the level 1 goblin wipes the party. But the, dragon they have to fight literally gets steamrolled. Like, I don't know what it is with my dice. I really don't. And for some reason, my dice luck affects other people too. I've had it to where they were fighting like low level mooks, like you sneeze on them and they die, and the party almost got wiped by them. But the thing that okay, this is actually going to be a challenge. Nah, it got crit 3 times in a row.
But that's the thing with dice. As an interaction medium, you don't control your experience nearly as much as you want. And that leads to situations where, yeah, your character should be able to do something, but just can't. And a character that, by all accounts, should not be able to even survive or even try to do something succeeds wildly, and you get everything in between. And I mean, you've played Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
How does that experience differ from actually like having physical dice and other people and a human gamer, in that case, dungeon master?
So they got pretty spot on with the fact of rolling the dice for the randomness. They really did. And it feels smooth, but it is still very much linear and the story wise, which you can't, in those kind of things, you can't go really off the walls like you can in a regular game where the party is like, yeah, no, we're just not going to follow this quest line. We're just going to go this way completely. Like you can't really do that. You're still being led through the story, but overall, honestly, it kind of scratches that itch of playing tabletop.
But the thing with video games, even with randomness, the vast majority of the time, video games are very tightly controlled. A lot of that tight control is your own control.
Mm-hmm.
So if you fuck something up, that ain't on the dice, that's on you.
Hence why people learn to what it's called save scumming. Oh, it's a really hard check. Great. I'm just going to quick save. Up, I failed, reload. Up, I failed, reload. Hey, I made it. They save scum.
Yeah,
Which, I'm sorry, that's a thing.
But again, these things lead to vastly different experiences.
Mm-hmm. Here's an experience for you. How does the simulators change experiences? You play a lot more simulators than I do. What part of those actually affect as far as like what they do?
Like, I don't quite understand what you're asking.
So, like dice, they're, fairly well randomized, and they, because we have no control of them, how do they do? And with other video games, you have a lot of control. How does the controls in your simulators? Like I know you have control, but how much control do you have?
Well, it depends on the simulator, but usually, since it is a simulator, you have quite a bit of control. And being like a video game, the rule set is pretty well defined.
Is there any exploits that you can do with them?
Well, depends. Do you count Roller Coaster Tycoon as a simulator?
I would think so.
I don't think so. It's really more of a tycoon game, but since
What's the difference?
tycoon games are more about managing a business, simulators are really more about getting in and actually doing things.
Isn't just Tycoon game a business simulator then?
Yeah, but I guess that would be a subset of simulator. Like, well, in Roller Coaster Tycoon, I think I already talked about it in like the bugs, glitches, and exploits episode, but even though there's a tightly controlled rule set, there's ways to exploit it. Like the half-screw launched corkscrew coaster. 2 station pieces, lowest launch speed, goes in a half corkscrew, goes up, goes back down. Actually gets decent stats because of how the rules work, even though there's normally things you need to meet to not get your stats penalized. Vast majority of those are nullified if you have an inversion. There's another exploit you can do for Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, 2, OpenRCT2 called Maze Spam. Basically, you just build a 3-tile maze. That adds to your soft guess cap, and you can just put hundreds down. But that's an exception, because in a vast majority of simulator games, there are no shortcuts.
That would seem to make sense.
Yeah, like the simulator game I'm playing a lot of right now, Farming Simulator 22. If you want to get a 100% yield bonus, this is how you do it. First, you mulch your stubble. Second, you plow your field. Even if you don't need to plow your field, the game doesn't say you need to plow your field. Plowing gives you adds 15% to your yield bonus.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Then you seed. And after you seed, you need to roll your field. That's another 2.5%, along with mulching. Then you fertilize. That's another 22.5%. After one growth stage, you fertilize again. That's another 22.5%. If you don't do all of those and use a weeder to remove weeds as soon as they come up, because if you use herbicide, which you can get in that game, it'll give you yield penalty. You must go through all those steps if you want a 100% yield bonus.
Interesting.
Yeah, like in Derail Valley. If you try to take your train too fast around a certain corner, or any corner, it's going to go on the ground. No way around it.
That's good to know at least.
Yeah, I know the Spiffing Brit has found some things like making money in Farming Simulator 22 without farming, but those are really, really rare exceptions.
Yeah, I get that one too.
But when an interface, especially with a video game, is good, you don't really notice it. You work with it, it works with you, it works with the controller layout.
In all honesty, though, if you think about it, most people don't realize how good things are.
Yeah.
It's always the bad.
Yeah, because a good interface doesn't get noticed.
No.
But a bad interface can fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And if you want examples of that, there's plenty of Angry Video Game Nerd episodes about bad interfaces.
That's the truth. I'm trying to figure out like what other ways there are as far as how things go with that type of stuff. Like what other ways are there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'd say something about Minecraft, but I really haven't played Minecraft.
That's fair.
I'm sure those that have played Minecraft can probably tell us more about how that open, more creative interaction experience shapes how they play and how they experience Minecraft.
Yeah.
And other creative games like that, like Little Big Planet. Another one I haven't played.
I mean, I can't think of anything else as far as other than what we've already discussed. I really can't.
No. I think this will probably be a shorter episode, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll think of something later.
Well, probably. Knowing our luck.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't I talk about that? Check the old email here. Nothing.
That's right. We do have an email that people should probably send us stuff on.
Yes. Like I said towards the start of the episode, gamersperience@gmail.com. GamerSperience@gmail.com, as in Google's mail service, all lowercase. Or the A with the circle around it, Gamersperience, spelled the same way, all lowercase, on X, formerly known as Twitter. I have gotten a lot of message requests on there, but they've all been spam.
Lovely.
Yeah, and a vast majority of them are in Chinese.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. The reason I know they're spam because I had to run them through Google Translate.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but tell us how different methods of game interaction shaped your experience. Tell us stories about your gaming characters, your custom gaming characters. Tell us how you like this podcast, what we should change. Tell us what pisses you off about gaming. That's another series we have.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah, maybe due for a new episode here fairly soon. If I can get Jameson from Bar Silence on, because his availability is kind of wonky. I want to revisit gaming music, or about how it manipulates our emotions as we play.
Yeah, good soundtrack makes a difference.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the reasons that one of my favorite Zelda games is Twilight Princess, which I actually ran into somebody that they too enjoy Twilight Princess and feel that it is slept on due to the fact that, the soundtrack is so gorgeous.
Yeah, and I really love the Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe give us other ideas about other things you want to talk about. Maybe something
Yeah.
if it's something you know quite a bit about, maybe you can join us.
Yeah. Our messages and stuff are always open on our Discord, and he checks emails regularly. So
Yes.
let us know.
And with that, I'm Not Much 23.
And I'm Chaos Assassin.
This is Gamer Experience. And as always, we invite you to have your own gamer experience.